I'd like to welcome everybody here today. It's a beautiful day out there. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful day in here also. Sorry about getting the late start. We had such a large number of people signing the roll that I wanted to give them a chance to sign and sit down before we started. Anyway, first of all, I need to excuse County Clerk Marky Rowley. She's out of town today. And we will start off with Commissioner Wright giving us a word of prayer, and then Commissioner Johnson will lead us in the pledge.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Father in heaven, as we humbly come before you this day in this commission meeting, help our minds and hearts be grateful for the opportunities we have to gather together and hear the opinions of many. We are grateful for the favorable circumstances that we live in. We know that throughout the world and other places, governments and people are troubled, and we see that every day. Our hearts go out to them, and our thoughts go to them in designing a way that we may help. Help us to set good examples of our conduct and who we have been. We're grateful for this seasons of Memorial Day and coming up forth, that we may remember those that have gone before. Help us to remember what they have taught us, that we may be able to pattern our lives after the good things that they have done. Help us to have discernment in the decisions we make in county policy, that we may be able to improve the lives of all our county residents. We live in a wonderful place. We're grateful for it. Be with us this day. Be with those among us who may be suffering from health and other things, the commissioners and all other elected officials, that would be with them in their responsibility, that they may be able to carry out the responsibilities they have and considerate of everybody they serve. And we ask these favors and blessings in the name of thy beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business, we need to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2024. Either of you have any changes?
Have none. I'll move that we approve the minutes of, what is it, 21st day of May, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2024, and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, are there any follow-up actions from the last meeting?
I have an action. It's not so much a follow-up, but we just need to turn a few minutes over to Abby. She'd like to introduce herself from R6.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Abby Ivory. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for R6 Regional Council, and so my area covers your county. I know right now you currently don't have a contract for my services, but I just want to introduce myself formally to y'all, because I think I've met each one of you informally, but I actually have quite a love for Millard County, and so I've been doing a little side work here without anything, so I hope it's okay. But I just want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on this past month for Millard County for me. We introduced a Utah Department of Ag and Food grant, so it's a $1 million grant to help food processors in the state of Utah. So I sent that out to all the county commissioners and all the mayors and city council, anybody I could find in the area, and I offered my services as a grant writer. I was contacted by a business in Fillmore, and so I helped them apply for the grant. It was a $200,000 grant application for that. So I helped them apply for that, kind of worked with them on how we can do this, did a business plan, that kind of thing, and helped them out with that. So we'll find out in July if they get that grant from the state there. Also on Thursday, I'll be meeting with the Delta Chamber of Commerce Board to kind of help them kind of get started and really kind of try and improve that Chamber of Commerce there. I know they're kind of struggling. One of the things I did previously is I was a director for the Nephi Chamber of Commerce, and I started that chamber there. And then I've done some just consulting work with other chambers, so I helped Sanpete County Chamber of Commerce get started, and I got them a grant for that. And then Parowan Chamber, I've helped them get a grant to kind of get their chamber going, and then I've done some consulting with Eureka and West Desert Chamber as well. So I sit on the board for the Rural Utah Chamber Coalition, which is a coalition of different chambers throughout the state of Utah that are in that considered a rural chamber area. So we do a lot of work with the state and with government, and just kind of helping these people get going with their chambers and how we can help businesses. I've noticed that if we're involved on a state level, we tend to find out more information about grants and things that are helpful to our local chambers. So that's one thing I'm going to do with them, is kind of help revitalize that chamber on Thursday. Lastly, one of the things I do as well is my side hustle, I guess, but I've owned a mortgage company for 20 years. It's been based out of Nephi, so I've actually been doing a lot of work here in Millard County. We used to have a satellite office in Fillmore years back, so I've been doing a lot of loans here. I was contacted by SUU because I think there were some mayors and county commissioners in the county that was concerned with affordable housing, and where I have that 20-year plus experience with housing, I was able to offer some suggestions. I also sit on the Affordable Housing Board for Nephi City, because they were kind of dealing with the same situation, you know. How are we able to help house people, which is all about economic development. How can you hire workers if they can't live in the place, right? So I've offered my services to Millard County as well, as far as anything that you guys have questions about as far as affordable housing. And feel free to give my phone number out, my email out. I'm here to help. And I want to make sure that Millard County is successful. So I appreciate y'all letting me come. Thank you, Kayla. Any questions for me?
I'd just like to thank Abby. I mean, I think, she's only been on board a few months. And I mean, we have some things that she's already done and started that has a lot of potential, could be helping. And thanks for coming. Thanks for reporting. I know some of the stuff she's given me, particularly the ag thing, I passed on to Farm Bureau and other ag organizations. So that's helpful, but they just don't fly under the radar, so thank you.
Well, I like that I'm local, I'm here, I know the area, I've been here a lot. You know, my kids played football, so I was always out here for Delta for football games, and just with the home purchases and stuff, I've actually done a lot of business in the Millard County area, so I'm very familiar with it. So if there's anything that you need help on, or you have questions about, or something like that, I'm definitely willing to check into it, especially if it comes to any kind of business and grant writing and things like that. So don't be afraid to reach out, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I've got something, by the way, she was at our last board meeting, and she has a wealth of knowledge, so it's nice to have her available. One thing I was going to mention is, you mentioned that you're going to go to the Delta Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know when I was overseeing that there were a few businesses from Fillmore that were also involved, but I've heard that they would like to make their own Fillmore area one. Has anyone gotten in contact with you about doing that, helping do that?
Nobody has yet, but I can definitely help that. So I actually started the Nephi Chamber of Commerce, so I did all the work to actually file for a nonprofit status, so we didn't have to hire an attorney to do that. I just did it all. So I wrote the bylaws, I designed the website, I did the nonprofit paperwork, did the budget, got us all certified with the state and with the federal government, open up the bank accounts. So I'm very familiar on how to start a chamber from beginning to end, and then how to get a board that is active and engaged, and to be able to create events to create a demand for it. So we started the Nephi Chamber a little over 2.5 years ago, and at that time, we had 13 paid members paying $65 a year to become a chamber member, and we had no active engagement. Nobody would come to the meetings. So that's why we had to completely shut it down, start over. I don't even think we had we were even legal at that point. So we kind of started everything all over and just really changed our mind thought about how we're going to help these businesses develop. You know, it's not just going and having a meeting, it's really doing things that'll help. And so in the 2.5 years, we created that Chamber of Commerce that was valuable to people, and we ended up, I think we're just now about 135 chamber members in 2 years, and about 30% of them are paying $750 a year for their membership. And it's just creating those events that are helpful, and not only that, but creating, information. So I took some grant writing classes, and then I offered those services to my chamber members, and I said, let's get you guys going. So I've done a lot of grant writing applications for a lot of locals, from everything from national awards to just local stuff. Just, having them think about different ways to create, diversify their income. It's not just this one way. You need to think about other ways you could do it that looks appealing to grantors. And then just offering ways to help networking, and really the economy in Nephi now it's been going gangbusters because of that. A lot of these small businesses didn't think kind of outside the box. I mean, we brought in different resources like World Trade Center of Utah, Women's Business Center of Utah, the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. We brought them in to show like how we can help them improve, and it was things that they hadn't even thought about. For instance, the World Trade Center of Utah, they'll actually translate your website into Spanish for free. They'll help you be able to sell on Amazon UK or Amazon Canada. So you can have somebody who's at home doing just a small little business of crafting or freeze-dried candy, and they could actually be shipping internationally. So these are options that I think a lot of rural people need to know about. What are some ways I can be a stay-at-home mom, but also bring some income in and be an international company? And it's not as far as off as you would think, so yeah, I'd love to help them and set that up, so. And now would be a good time, because there's some grants that are coming out. There's two, like you can apply for the Rural County Opportunity Grant to get money for a chamber, and there's also one through the state, through the EAG, that's specifically for chambers. So you can get operating costs, you can actually get payroll costs. If they want to hire a director, they can actually get money to pay those costs. But those applications will be opening up in the next couple months. We just need to kind of get going on it so it's in place.
Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next. The 10:05 agenda item, interim successors.
Okay, I have those. Do I just read them out? Okay, so I have the interim successors for the office manager for the Delta offices. This was submitted by Angie Meinhardt. First one would be Adam Richens, Paula Dewsnip, and then Mallory Wood. The next one is for the clerk's office from Marky Rowley, Jamie Hare, Sherry Stevenson, then Kayla Freeman. The next one would be for the county attorney's office, submitted by Pat Finlinson, Kayla Jackson, Elise Harris, then Denton Peterson. The next office is for the county recorder's office for Sierra Dickens, Shonda Robinson, Sarah Lombard, and then Lacey Worsley. The next department is for East Millard Recreation, submitted by Brendan Turner. We have Jackie Johnson, Brooks Jackson, then Trevor Johnson. And the last one is for the assessor's office for Laura Fitch. Laura Fitch, got it right the first time, okay. Susan Wilcox, Renee Dixon, and then Holly Miller.
Okay, do we need to approve those? Okay.
They're actually for the emergency manager, but I'm just kind of acknowledging.
Okay. We will acknowledge those lists. Sounds like good people there. Okay, next, discussion and possible approval of business license for Falcon Isle Resource Corporation owner Alexis Bradshaw.
Okay, I have that application here. Everything is in order. We just need the signatures, so I will pass it down. It is for the milling of organic rock phosphate.
What kind of business is that?
Milling of organic rock phosphate.
Organic rock? Okay.
So I'm assuming this is for like fertilizer?
No,
Oh,
that's the next one.
oh, okay. I
So
just know
whatever
phosphate
organic
gets
rock
used-
phosphate is used for.
I'll make a motion to approve the business license for Falcon Isle Resources.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the business license for Falcon Isle Resource Corporation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, next on the agenda, discussion and possible approval of business license Fossil Utah LLC, owner Alexis Bradshaw.
So I have that one here as well, and all of the signatures are in order, and it is for the manufacturing granulating of organic fertilizer.
Where's the location in Delta, or?
Manager's address is Springville, but
It might be out in Sugarville.
Sugarville or somewhere?
Business address is Delta.
oh, okay.
Delta? Okay, thank you.
It's at the top, the very first address.
Oh, yep, you're right. Okay, it looks like all the signatures are here. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the business license for Fossil Utah LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the business license for Fossil Utah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next, 1010, agenda item, discussion of transitioning the national ATV/UTV Jamboree to a private sector. I don't know who all is going to talk about that. Rachel, welcome.
Okay, so we just have numbers that we want to share with you guys. So currently, this is the 37th year of the National ATV Jamboree. We've been sponsoring it for a while now here in Fillmore. And Beaver switched theirs to private, and that has helped their county a lot. But we just wanted to share you guys with some numbers of what's been going on. So I have last year's numbers and as of now, this year's numbers. So discussion of so last year we gave them $25,000 budget. And revenue-wise, they made $22,000, and then they actually ended up going over budget, that we had to take money from the 75 fund of tourism to help compensate that, because they weren't quite there. This year, as of right now, they're at 18,000. We still have a few more weeks left of registration. Last year, we had between 120 to 140 participants. And this year, we are at 178 so far. So our numbers have increased. This is the most since COVID. But as of right now, with the amount, we're spending about 120 to 130 per person. And they're only paying 120 to join us. So we just want to discuss of turning that to a private sector. Beaver also helps give them some seed money to help them go, and so we're not leaving them completely in the dust. I know a business in town has benefited it from quite a bit. Every year someone comes and buys things from him because of it. So we do see a little bit of sales tax from that. The KOA, all the Cedar Mountain Resort sees benefits of them coming. But like I said, it's only 178 people coming for us putting $20,000 to $25,000 into that. So we just wanted to open that discussion of.
Do you know of a company that would like to take it over?
Brian Kinsey from Prime Power Sports said if no one is willing, he would be willing. But we have a volunteer on our board right now that I'm sure if I asked them, they would be thrilled to, because they're not a huge fan of my involvement anyways, but we'll have to ask them. I haven't contacted them. We wanted to have this discussion with you before we went to that next step.
You guys have any questions?
Well, I guess if that's the way we want to go, how do we select that person? If there's 2 or 3, Pat, I mean, what would be the logical way? What we,
Well, I'm not sure exactly what it looks like. I mean, it could be as simple as we simply say it's no longer going to be sponsored by the county.
okay,
And then whoever wants can pick it up and do it. If we want, I mean, it would be kind of a weird hybrid for us to, go through some kind of a bid or selection process for
Yeah.
someone to do it if we're just going to be out. I mean, that doesn't get us out, that keeps us in kind of a hard way to manage.
yeah.
So, I mean, I
No, if we get out, let's get out.
would say if we're gonna do it, do it. If not, we just step back and say if somebody wants to handle it, you're on it. But we could look and see how some of the other, it sounds like Beaver have already been through the process, get an idea of how they did it, how they've structured the relationship between whoever's now running it in the county. I can talk to Vaughn and see if he has any information about how they went through it. It just seems to me like it would be kind of an odd way to get out of it, to simply contract with somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And if we did that, then we're obviously in a bid situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rachel, would you,
Just a suggestion from you how we go forward.
From what I've done from the talk to the economic development from Jen Wakeland from Beaver, what they said they did was they did give them like seed money. They wrote them a check, said go find your account, like go make your own account, someone take it over. We will still help you, like guide you to figure out how to, the next year we'll still help you. If you need help from us, if you have questions of like, what did we do, things like that, she was there to help them. But essentially, a private party took it over and the county stepped out completely.
and would you like a private party to take it over?
I'm more than happy to help them, but I also understand if we need to go private sector of that way. $20,000 can go a lot of ways in our county, and I understand that the rate of return on that is not the greatest.
Yeah, well, last year, just being involved as much as I was, I saw how much work you and Kevin went to it, and you guys do a lot of work, and I'm sure you could put that time elsewhere and have it help the county also.
So how much additional did we give them for the Jamboree? We did 25,000 initially,
Yes.
then how much?
No, that was 25,000 total.
25,000
Those reports that
total.
were given includes the budget adjustment.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's everything.
Thank you, Bonnie. I do know we purchased, out of tourism, we did purchase tires to help incentivize people coming. I know and the Jamboree Committee thought we had got those donated. No, we purchased them
Purchased them out of tourism
out of
budget.
tourism budget. There's a couple things like that. We're doing that again this year.
Okay. I guess my main concern is somebody being serious about it and wanting to do it, not just next year, the year after, but it continuing on for years to come.
Yeah.
Now, if we don't have somebody that's serious doing that, that's like, well, I'll do it if nobody else is wanting to do it, then I don't like that, because it is something that does bring a lot to Fillmore and the surrounding communities. But if somebody is really wanting to and is a diehard and wants to just make sure it runs, I am definitely open to that. But I don't want to turn it over just half-heartedly to just somebody that's not going to put everything into it, which...
Well, what Trevor says is true. We have some history, we have something here that actually has value for someone. And if we have some real interest in the private sector, hey, let's go there. How do we protect, and like Pat says, we don't want to get strings. How do we protect them from running it into the ground and then coming back here, 4 or 5 years later and say, hey, we got to have help, this isn't working. I don't know how to do that, but I think that's the only prohibition I'd have is if somebody wants to do it, if we can get some level of assurance that this is going to happen, I'm good. But if they're going to be back in here, if they just run it into the ground, then we got to start all over again, because it is a very positive and good activity. So I'm not sure right now. I'd have to think about how we.
Well, I think if someone was willing to set up an organization, a nonprofit, something like that, to show that this really is an interest that can self-perpetuate,
Okay,
that would go a long way towards satisfying that.
yeah, that would, we'd need to know their organization.
If it's just saying,
Okay,
if it's just somebody who says, well, I will if nobody else will, that's probably not a great assurance.
And honestly, it doesn't break even most of the time. There's a couple years that they did actually make a little bit of money, but not very often have they made money. But there's a lot of things that we do in our county that aren't necessarily making us, not even close to what this is making us by, percentage or ratio wise. So it's really not that bad of a event compared to some of the other things that we do.
Of course.
So I'm not as concerned about that, but just finding somebody that is really willing to just make an organization out of it and do a great job. So I guess that's the thing I'd task you with is,
Okay, I can do that.
can we find somebody that really wants to do it?
I think we're willing to do that. If, you probably need to do an investigation evidence because right now, I don't know who's out there. You probably do, so
Yes,
if we could ask you to come back with some evidence and a recommendation
yeah.
of what we need to do would be helpful.
Yeah, we just wanted to start this conversation. We've heard lots of other counties that are starting to go that way. Sevier doesn't, just because they have a lot of private sectors that are taking over, like they do it already,
Yeah.
right? So Sevier is still in charge of theirs, but they have other private businesses that are running it.
The car shows might be things to look at. I think they function more or less independently of the governments. I mean, they use a lot of Fillmore resources and county resources, but I think but again, they've got people that are just absolutely passionate about it, that could be a place to look, to see maybe how the organization is structured.
Yeah, he does a good job with it. And I know he gets one of those grants from tourism each year, but I think he makes more than what he borrows. Anyway, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome. I think I'm the next agenda item too.
You can just stay there.
Yeah, I think they have the next ones, aren't I?
Get the next two.
Okay,
And the next ones.
okay. Discussion and possible approval of contract with Jenny Oaks Baker for Christmas concert.
So both of these are fairly standard entertainment contracts that we see. Well, we'll just address this one first. This one is just a concert by a fairly well-known vocal performer. The contracts are what we generally call contracts of adhesion, which means we don't really get to negotiate terms. It's just either take it or leave it. Which means that we accept certain risks. In the case of this one, there really aren't. The risk is that we lose our deposit. That's really the extent of what the risk is. There's really no liability risk. The reason this is before the commission is because it exceeds the small budgeted procurement limit that Rachel would be able to just execute through the department.
So what is that amount?
This is Jenny Oaks Baker, I think it was
25?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, 25,000 is what she was.
25,000.
This is for the Christmas concert with the, well, we're actually changing the name, so it's the Millard Art Council now. We're going to try to include Fillmore on that council now. So this is for the Christmas concert that is held in Delta every year.
What do we usually spend on?
About 20 to 25.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
isn't any,
Yeah, Gentry cost 25 and David Archuleta cost 25.
okay.
It seems like the concerts you guys have been having lately have been very well received.
Oh, at the Gentry concert, there were more Fillmore people there than Delta people, I'm sure of it.
Actually, there was more Salt Lake and out
There
of
were a ton of
state.
people there, yes.
Well, I guess that's good for tourism.
It was great. It was wonderful. We were so blessed that, and they said it was their best concert of the year.
Awesome.
So Pat, do we need a motion on these or
Yeah,
just?
motion.
Okay, I would move that we approve the Jenny Oaks Baker.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Jenny Oaks Baker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, the next one is possible approval of amusement contract with Brown's Amusements Incorporated for carnival services.
So this is one that always makes a risk manager gulp a little bit. There's a lot of discomfort in these, but they are supremely popular. And in this case, a couple of years ago, we were able to get them to add insurance provisions. We're paying them $20,000 up front, and then we'll get 20% of receipts for the rides and stuff, but, which I don't think we make it back, but it's, again,
Last year we did.
Did we make it back?
Last year profit, we made 13,000.
That was a huge thing last year.
The last year, the carnival made over $70,000.
We were able to get them to add insurance provisions. They're not ideal, they're not what I would love to see, but they're better than we had had in the past, and so I'm holding my breath and saying I'm comfortable with this one.
Is there a sales tax on that?
So sales tickets, there's not, it'll be straight $30 for the unlimited pass pre-sales, and then they said it's $40 at the door, so I think they include that then.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And this is a different one than last year.
Yep, this is more well-known, and
But we've had these guys before, though.
Browns,
Yeah, I think we.
the reason why they asked for the 20,000 is because they said they hadn't been to ours before,
maybe
so.
not.
So did the ones you had last year want to come back? But
They said they weren't coming back to Utah at all, so they weren't willing
Okay,
to.
so they're out of here.
Yeah,
Okay.
So then I take that back, these guys put the insurance provisions in on their own. I thought this was the same group we had negotiated with before, but
Okay. So I'd move we accept the contract for Brown's Amusements Company.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the contract from Brown's Amusement Incorporated. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Pat, do I sign this since it says Millard County Fair? Okay.
Kayla can add the title if you just want to sign it.
All right, 1020 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 24-06-04, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending and restating the fee schedules for the days of the Old West Rodeo, the Millard County Fair, and the ATV Jamboree.
So I have the schedule they provided for the fair, including Miss Millard and the Jamboree, but I have not seen the rodeo fees, so they're not attached here yet.
Oh, you
Yeah.
guys get those?
Didn't we get an email with
Yeah.
those?
The latest email came out from Maddie about 9:38, and
Okay.
it had the report on it.
Okay, can you just, well, let me see, if-
I think.
let me look and see if.
Yeah, because I was looking at it, I think it's like $15
Okay.
for an adult.
And like, if not, I have it.
So she updated the tourism side with the fair with the Miss Millard, but then as a separate
Okay,
document.
you get in and
related
grab it.
to- Yeah.
Rachel, while we're waiting, do you want to comment on the fee schedules?
So for the fair, we kept them pretty low. We figured vendors don't want to pay a ton, so if you want to be indoors, it's $35 for the whole weekend. Outdoors is $25, and that's what we charge the food trucks as well, which is pretty low considering, but it just helps us a little bit to cover having to get garbage cans, having to get restrooms, things like that. It helps cover
Okay.
that.
What about the rodeo?
The rodeo that's one that their committee set all of those ones, so they're a little higher, so like to be a vendor inside is, I think, $7.50 a night. And that you can pay at the end, so you don't have to pay it that same, like, before, so you can make, and then pay that to them as well. The tickets are very reasonable priced, that a family of 5 could be able to afford it there.
I think they're significantly cheaper in other surrounding, I got that part of the conversation, a lot cheaper.
Yes.
Like only a third of what some of the other.
And did the rodeo committee approve those?
Yeah,
They're the ones who asked us, like, that was what they had asked, and then you guys have to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, for the record, this is by code. The legislative body of each county adopts all fees by resolution with a few exceptions, and those exceptions are fees for the recorder, sheriff, and constable's office, and fees established by state statute.
Okay, thanks. Have you been able to find? Okay. Any other discussion?
no, need a motion?
Okay, I guess we can make a motion to accept these fee schedules.
Just to approve the resolution.
Oh, yes, we do need to approve the
I
resolution.
move that we approve the resolution 24-06-04 for the fee schedules of the days of 47 and ATV.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution 24-06-04, resolution amending and restating fee schedules for the Days of the Old West Rodeo, Millard County Fair, and ATV Jamboree. Need a roll call vote?
I call for a roll call vote on Resolution 24-06-04. Commissioner Wright?
Yes,
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman?
Yes. Oh, this might need to be. All right, 1025 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of resolution 24-06-08A, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, approving the public safety pickup for Tier 2 employees. We, oh, yes.
Maybe Bonnie just ran to grab that paper.
Okay.
She'll be right back.
Sheriff Jacobson, did you want to address this at all?
This is obviously a predicament placed on us through lawmaking. What I can say is, in speaking with many of the other entities in the state, I would say that most are picking this up in one way or another. You know, there's 28 other counties, there's probably 28 other wheels that have been invented in order to cope with this. And the response to the law has been everything from not doing anything with it to, like I say, the majority, I believe, anecdotally, of those counties I've talked to and even municipalities, is that they're adjusting for this in some way. To outright picking it up, to incorporating some type of a raise in order to compensate for it. Mostly to address the concern that this could telegraph a time where we're seeing more retention issues. So you find entities, I think, in a competition with one another once again.
Auditor Smith, would you like to give us a little background information and tell us what all this entails?
Sure, so this is a acquired contribution depending on who pays for it, but it hasn't changed since 2022, July of 2022. It was 2.59%. The new percentage is 4.73%. The estimate, it's going to cost about $20,000 a year ongoing. At the training, my understanding is once we elect it, it's not irrevocable. So,
And what do you tell people what the difference is between Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees?
Sure. So there's basically, Tier 1 is employees that were hired prior to July 1st of 2011. Anyone hired after that period is in a Tier 2 system unless they have prior service credit with another agency. Once they're in Tier 1, they're always in Tier 1, but Tier 1 we expect to phase out in the next 10 to 15 years, so they're going away. So you have Tier 1 regular public, Tier 1 public safety. They're all structured a little bit differently, right? So they all have different years of service for all 4 systems. Tier 2, even public safety is a little bit different than Tier 1 public safety, and same with public employees. And as we know, that public employees, Tier 2, there's a pickup coming this July 1st for public employees that the employer, you as the county, are not allowed to pick up, and it's 0.7%.
Okay, so what she was saying, she explained it better than I will, but I just want to shorten it down. People that were hired earlier, and I know about this because I used to teach school, so I had something to do with this. But anyway, the ones that were hired before 2011 were getting a higher percentage of money put in for their retirement than the newer employees. And they tried to get the legislature to pass it that the counties could pick up that extra amount for all county employees, and they didn't pass it this year. However, they are allowing it for public safety. And if we vote to do this, we have to continue to do it, right?
That's my understanding.
Do you have any other questions?
Well, there's only 2 options, right? Either our employees are paying for it or we're paying for it, but it's happening either way.
Correct.
I have no comments. I understand.
Okay, so I guess we need to have a vote on it. Okay, so this resolution is for the county to pick up and pay for the Tier 2 employees for public service.
And that amount is 20,000 ongoing?
Yeah, minimum.
Okay.
So, do we have a
I'll make
motion?
that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 24-06-04A, a resolution approving the public safety pickup for Tier 2 employees.
Would you mind just reading into the record the actual heading of the resolution?
Oh, yep.
The one on the agenda?
Do you think they
So
should
more precise.
designate the percentage?
It designates it in the
Okay.
resolution, the heading doesn't, but the heading is just more precise than the agenda item.
Okay.
Okay, so discussion or approval of Resolution 24-06-04A, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, approving the public safety pickup for Tier 2 employees. Okay, roll call vote. What's that?
It's the same, then, never mind. I thought I added a detail or two, it's the same.
Okay. So Kayla, roll call vote for this one?
Okay, I call for a roll call vote on Resolution 24-06-04A. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman?
Yes.
Maybe before we move on, Sheriff, I mean, you mentioned a lot of counties are doing it a lot of different ways. They might feel there's some compensation due in cash. Obviously, this is another benefit that's not a cash benefit. What would you prefer? I mean, we're already past the fact, but I should ask you that before.
I think this is the cleanest way, and I think,
So
Commissioner,
you'd prefer this rather than just a cash benefit? Okay.
I think it's the cleanest way to handle it, and I think, any dialogue that we need to have moving forward when we talk about increased compensations, wage-wise and things, we obviously can consider this as having transpired now, so.
Yeah, that gets the point
Right,
that
yeah.
when we do benefits, nobody recognizes them.
No, that won't be lost in
Everything
discussion.
we put in, it's all about dollars in your pocket, and I'm willing to go dollars in the pocket if that's what everybody wants, but if you'd rather have this, then it needs to be a recognized benefit.
Yeah, it's not going to be lost in our internal discussion, so, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, 10:30 agenda item, public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment on increasing the aging/senior budget for direct management of the senior centers and nutrition programs. All other funds/budgets may be considered as necessary. Would you like to address us, please?
Hold on just a second.
Make a motion to go to public hearing.
Oh,
I second.
sorry. Okay, got a motion and a second to go in public hearing for receiving public comment on the budget for the senior centers and nutrition programs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now you can come up. Sorry about that.
My name's... You want me to have somebody just give a little background, just to proceed the public comment on it? So everybody knows?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hold on.
Okay. I have a flyer
Okay.
to educate you a little if I could.
Okay, yes, we're gonna have somebody explain what's going on, and then if you wanna come up and
Maybe that's
explain.
him.
Okay, and for this public hearing, we need to have an accurate, roll of who is here. So if you have not signed the roll, before we get started on the public comments, please come up and put your name on the roll.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we let him go first? Okay, go ahead and sit down and
We have the president of our board and
If
other...
you would.
State your
sit
name
down
and-
to the mic,
sit down and,
state your name.
yes.
I'm used to standing up and yelling.
We'll let you relax a little more. You don't have to stand up.
And if you can speak into the mic so that the audio will pick it up for the recording as well.
And state your name first, please.
No, I was born in Millard County a long time ago. I moved back about 12 months ago. And one of the benefits I found about 3 weeks ago that I overlooked for a while was the senior center down on North 4th West.
Before you go any further, what's your name?
Larry Edwards.
Okay, thank you.
And I lost my wife, and my daughter was living with me, moved to Mississippi, so nobody to cook my meals or to help me out, so I went down there and started enjoying their wonderful meals and the company of the other people down there, and I just can't say enough about it. It's a beautiful benefit here. I wish more people would use it. I'd like to invite all of you, the ones that are here today. We're going to skip out in a few minutes because we got to go to lunch. But we'd like to invite you all to lunch. But I don't understand why this 6-county government thing turned the management over to you. That's beyond mine, but I just wanted to put in a word for it, that it's a blessing to Fillmore and East Millard. And, well, there's more of them you're getting involved in too, I understand, but I'd highly recommend, you keep this thing going and we make better use of it. Thank you.
No, thanks, Larry.
So, no, I'll speak about it later in the next section.
Okay, yeah, we have the president of the board here if you want some of questions or answers from a high level. Thank you.
Thank you for your acknowledgement. Millard County is a wonderful place to live.
It is.
They provide things that nobody else provides.
Did you want to add something, Commissioner Johnson?
Well, I was just going to state that, so a couple of the reasons that they're doing it is, 6 County was managing, 60 to, 80 people, and there's a lot of part-time employees that they're trying to have to manage and hire, and it was hard for them to do the advertising, what it was over the radio. People just don't know who 6 County is, so they were just having a hard time getting people to come and work for them, and they thought it might be better handled at a county level when it says Millard County's looking for cooks or delivery people. They could get more people interested in working for Millard County than they could 6 County. The other thing that we're hoping that it does, bringing it closer to home, is get more of the seniors out. Like you mentioned, you wished more people knew about it. And we're hoping that maybe the management falling within Millard County allows us to reach out to the seniors a little bit better in our county to get them out more. So those are a couple of reasons that it's turning over.
Commissioner Johnson's worked on this. We'll see. I guess we have not had any anticipation that the service that's provided will change.
No, the service.
Our goal is to provide the same level. I see a little bit of hesitation, but I think our goal is to provide, well, I know our goal is to provide the same service you've had, so.
Just a question.
If you'll come to the mic and state your name. Sorry, it's a pain, but we have to have it on record of who's saying what and all that.
I'm Terry Scotter, and my question is, are you getting any money from 6 County to help you run this program that they've been getting money for?
Yeah, so the federal and state dollars that they get is just being passed through back to us.
Okay. When you say pass through, is it going through them, or?
Because they still, you know Doug, he's a guy at 6 County that's over the senior nutrition program. He's still gonna, 6 County's still gonna provide all of our meal schedule. Like Jan won't be saying this is what we're eating this week. It's the nutrition program specialist at 6 County is still going to be involved. So all that money is still going to come through them and back to Millard County.
Okay.
But it's not quite enough to cover it,
No, it's
so
not quite enough to
we
cover
need to
it.
make up.
No, it's been getting tighter all the time. I'm a member of the board, and we see that we're just having a tougher time all the time trying to provide the services.
One of the things that we're hoping is, going locally with Millard County, is that we can get businesses to donate more. This is a kind of a disadvantage for 6 County. They get on the radio or they call up the power plant or the lime plant or the cement plant and say, hey, we're 6 County, we're needing some money for Central Utah citizens, and they don't know who they are.
Yeah, it's not local enough.
But us as Millard County, we can call these local businesses and say, hey, your dollars are staying here helping your grandparents, your parents, people in our local area to provide meals. And so we're hoping that is one of the better benefits of bringing it local, is trying to get more money from businesses.
All right. Okay, so if I understood Commissioner Wright correctly, the goal here is to provide at least the same level of services that we've been getting from 6 County.
Yeah.
And it'll just get better. Did I understand that
We
correctly?
never had a discussion that it would be any different.
Thank you.
Thanks.
But after we management, I don't know. That's not our intent, okay? So I guess the question, well, you want to go out of public
Do
hearing?
we have anybody else that
When you go out
wants-
of public hearing, I have a question.
Well, there's some other budget items that need to be discussed.
Okay.
That was the main one, but there are a few.
Yeah, so I can give you some numbers too. I spoke with Doug yesterday and we went through their budget, and we anticipate approximately $175,000 increase in our senior center aging budget to manage this program, with an offset of $106,000 of federal funding. So that net is like cost to the county $69,000 for the next 6 months.
Well, that's a net of what?
$69,000.
69,000 is probably what we'll end up paying.
So, and that's with retaining the same employees. And our expense might be a little high, just with the numbers that we got yesterday, but we'll be able to fine tune those a little bit, so. There's a couple other housekeeping items that I have been notified since the last time we amended the budget, and one was in the sheriff's office for a small grant for HMEP for $3,200 as a pass-through, to amend the budget for that, and then in West Maintenance, $8,700 for summer help, and then $4,700 for a Siemens contract that we need to carry through the rest of the year. And so those are in general fund and the recreation fund, Fund 15.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's it. That's, that I'm aware of, unless somebody else here has another amendment that they need to take care of.
Anybody else have any public comments? Okay, I guess.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I think Pat had some comments, maybe if you wanted to follow up. Maybe they've been done, maybe they was already.
We just kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. Normally in a public hearing, you kind of give the background and then call for the public to come forward, but it worked out great.
Okay, appreciate that. I didn't know who all had the information, but.
So just for the record, normally when we do the resolution following a public hearing to open the budget, it's pretty generic language. It just sort of references the worksheet. In this one, I did spell out a few more of the details about why we're picking up the 6 county stuff, just so that it's clear in the resolution. But the other ones are still covered under the just general language.
Okay, thanks. Anything else either of you two have? All right, let's move to the 1035 agenda item. Discussion and possible approval of Resolution 24-06-04B, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, increasing the aging/senior budget for direct management of the senior centers and nutrition programs. Did we already make a
There's
motion?
no, we didn't.
Okay.
If there's no other discussion, I move that we approve the change of the county management and we improve the budget as our budget, as Bonnie has told us that those figures that Bonnie's give us to that amount.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 24-06-04C. Oops,
B.
nope, let's try B instead. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, increasing the aging/senior budget for direct management of the senior centers and management programs. Need a roll call vote?
I call for a roll call vote on Resolution 24-06-04B. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman?
Yes.
Bonnie, you give us a number of, I just have a question. You give us a number of 175,000. You reduce that by grants?
Yeah, that number is
Are they
off.
year-to-year grants? So that figure could change in the future.
That's what 6 counties
That's
passed
for,
through to us.
that's for this year right now, okay.
Right, that's for the next 6
But
months.
there's no guarantee in the future we might get none. Okay.
That's probably
Okay.
true that they've gotten the federal grants and they're going to be assisting, and that's our cut after the 106 offsets that 175.
We've anticipated their supplement might be ongoing, but it might not be. Okay, just so we make clear that things could change.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, tha you. 1035 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of resolution 24-06 make sure I'm on the right line here, 04C, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending resolution 13-01-22, adopting the Millard County step and grade scale by creating positions within the aging/senior department and establishing grade designations for those positions.
So I think within the budget, this is specifically called the aging department, which to me is kind of weird. We might want to look at changing what we call that. But this is obviously in connection with the last resolution. What this does is creates positions within our step and grade scale. And as I understand it, there are 4 positions being created. Now, allocation of those positions is different and can be done just through budgeting. But what we're creating is 1 full-time site manager position, which will be given a grade designation of 8 in the full-time step and grade schedule. There will be a part-time position of site manager, which will be given a designation of 12 within that A20 part-time step and grade schedule. Then part-time positions for cook and meal delivery driver, both also, or let's see, they will be given grade designation of 10 within the A20 part-time step and grade.
Any discussion?
I don't have no more. Are you ready for motion?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 24-06-04C.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 24-06-04C, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending Resolution 13-01-22, which is adopting the Millard County Step and Grade Scale by creating positions within the aging/senior department and establishing grade designations for those positions. Roll call vote.
I call for a roll call vote on Resolution 24-06-04C. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman?
Yes. All right, 10:45 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 24-06-04D, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending Resolution 13-01-22 by amending the job titles and grade assignments for EMS positions within the Sheriff's Office.
So do you recall this was discussed pretty thoroughly in the last meeting? It's a pretty dramatic restructuring. Now, the EMS workers are not scheduled like the other employees. They have their own pay scale, but the new one is what was discussed, and I think maybe Jacob or Bonnie or the sheriff can address it, but that's what I understand the proposal is.
So there was one change that we just wanted to disclose on there. Previously, we had discussed COLA increase, but we actually wanted to remove that from the schedule so that it was dealt with like every other COLA increase is from a year-to-year basis, and so we just wanted to disclose that that was one removal that happened from what we had discussed last time, so.
Okay.
Okay. Sheriff Jacobson?
I'm just here for any questions.
Oh, okay. Either of you have any questions?
Been talking about it a long time.
Yeah, we talked
But
about it a lot last
no.
time. Okay.
Do you want to describe what those changes are?
Well, I think we covered it pretty thoroughly last time, but there's just an increase, right, for an incentive to compensate the EMS runs at a higher rate to encourage more participation and more advancement through the EMS program, so.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully this will help where it's needed. All right. Guess if there are no questions and no further discussion, we'll need a motion.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 24-06-04D.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 24-06-04D, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending Resolution 13-01-22 by amending the job titles and grade assignments for EMS positions within the Sheriff's Office. Roll call vote.
I call for a roll call vote on Resolution 24-06-04D. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman?
Yes.
Just a follow-up question now. I don't think it's changed other discussions, other commission meetings. That meant about $70,000 to $100,000. What was the figure on that, Bonnie or Jacob, or maybe the sheriff knows?
I think it was in the 70,000 range, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Yeah,
That's what I remember. I just want to make sure I don't,
Yeah, and again, right, I mean, obviously,
our calculations were,
yeah, just based on the three-year
Yeah,
average,
yeah,
you
I
know,
don't-
yeah, that three-year average was roughly between $60,000 and $70,000 increase, depending on the amount of usage, right? But that's
that's just a
what the
ballpark
increase was.
figure where we're going to be at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commission.
All right, 10:50 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 24-06-04E, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending Resolution 24-01-02.
So this is also in connection with the six-county restructure and transition of those positions. We just needed to create another executive assignment because it's now a department within the county, and have that assigned to one of them, so just need to decide which of you is gonna accept the assignment of that aging department, and then, add it to the schedule.
I believe we may need to hold off on this.
Okay.
For-
You
for
want to
a
go to the
second,
next
don't we?
item on the business?
Because
Yeah, so the,
fully set up a.
Just move, we go on to the
Yeah.
next item if we
Okay.
don't have enough.
yeah, so the
information.
conversation is just for transparency, right? Operationally, we're waiting for the job responsibilities that 6 County currently was handling before we decide the structure that we want to do internally, and then that will depend on who gets assigned based on your
So
responsibilities.
should we do one, so we have one assigned as of right now?
No, I don't think we need it. I think it was just sort of a housekeeping thing. We can just strike it and put it on the next
It won't be
one.
but a month,
Yeah.
first of
We're fine.
July type thing, if that's.
I'd move we go on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, we'll save that for
That's a motion.
another
We need
time.
to take a vote on that motion.
To,
A motion to move on to the next item.
okay.
I make a motion, we move on to the next item.
You second
I
it.
second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move on to the next item. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All righty, we are moving on. Okay, the 10:55 a.m. discussion and possible approval of the 2024 tax sale.
So we had our tax sale through public surplus again this year. There, as you can see, the report, the top 3 on the report were redeemed and not sold. That's why those cells are blank. And then if there's one that didn't sell, it's line 5. That one was a restricted bidding, and only those adjacent owners were invited to bid. We contacted them directly, they didn't want it. It would be a nuisance to sell it to anybody else. So
Is it
that
kind of
one,
landlocked?
yeah, and it's like, I think a fence could be on it.
Is this the Holden one?
Scipio,
Oh, this is good.
yep.
Okay.
So, that one went back to the county, so in essence, we won't be collecting tax on that sliver. And then the rest of them sold. The very last one says it's not paid. So we had our winning bidder default, and they have a legal obligation to pay their bid, but we've went ahead and went to the second, and now the third highest bidder contacted me yesterday, and they want the property, so we're just waiting for a wire. So normally the board approves the tax sale every year. So if you really want to wait till they pay and approve it next time, that's fine too, or if you want to approve it pending that payment on that final bottom line.
Which one was that, the bottom?
The very last one, yeah.
I don't think it's super urgent. I think we could put it on the next agenda and approve it
Okay.
once we know we've got payment.
Payment,
Is
and
that-
then decide, that's totally fine. Yeah,
So should we wait on all of these?
I would recommend waiting until
Okay.
we
Okay.
make sure we have that paid.
So we need a motion for this all to,
Need
okay,
anything, just
Move on.
okay. We'll wait and do it.
we'll just put it on next time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 11 a.m. discussion item, discussion and possible approval of communications use lease agreement with BLM for Notch Peak Communications Towers.
If you remember, a couple years ago, or a couple meetings ago, the commission approved some co-location agreements with one of the state agencies where we were agreeing to bear some of the maintenance responsibility and so on. These are the actual land use leases with the BLM.
Okay. If I remember, we're going to do maintenance of the road and they're going to put up the structure, is that right?
Right, and BLM, and Cindy's here from BLM, but BLM's been very gracious in working through this. It's been a 6-year negotiation to get to where we needed to be, not that it's been a hostile negotiation, it's just been, as the pieces fall together, so we understand what we're dealing with. So this is a morphing of an existing lease into a kind of an added location out there. It's touching each other, just for that higher tower location that we were discussing, while maintaining also facilities that come out of the other lease, so.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it any better than that.
Do either of you want to make any comments? If you do, we need to know your name, but otherwise, we'll just let you sit there and smile.
his name is Shane, and he wants to be quiet. But Cindy, I don't want to misrepresent your agency.
Cindy Ledbetter, field manager at the BLM office here in Fillmore. And I really don't have much. Sheriff Jacobson summarized it pretty good, and we've completed the NEPA requirements on it for the upgrade, our additional facilities. Made it through that without too much hassle from any other environmental groups, but we did work with them and have stipulations in that grant, so it's all spelled out.
Great, thanks.
A question, Sheriff, if you work, I'm assuming we've worked with our road department, our responsibility is to improve the road and maintain the road, correct?
Maintain the road.
So if you-
Improvements are limited.
Right, so
Okay, so what does that mean?
we may force Shane to talk just a little bit.
Yeah.
Shane had a field trip involving Utah Communication Authority as well as the county road superintendent. I'll just let him speak to that.
Are they going to participate in improving? I guess, Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, so we met with County Road Supervisor Brandon Wiegett, myself, and UCA, and the Tower Erection Company. And it was determined that the road is very passable. There's going to be just a very minor, what's the word I'm looking for? Adjustments, yeah, just very minor adjustments. And the tower company is going to be able to do that as they go along, and as they're taking equipment up there, they're going to be able to move a tree out of the way if the building's going to hit. They're going to be able to smooth a part of the road if the tip's too much. So there's very little to do. County Road's not going to have to do anything at this time, but they will continue to maintain that road, which they've already been doing. But as I stated, the tower company is going to do the minor adjustments to that road as they go along. And it is very minor adjustments that they're going to have to do to make that work, to get their equipment up there, and cement trucks and whatever else they're going to need to get up there, crane and stuff.
That's good. Also, Pat, does that road qualify on our?
Yeah, so
So as we maintain it, we're going to get a little help because it's part of our.
For part of it's
Okay.
linked, it's a Class B road, so we. Class
Okay,
B
so
road
that's the
for it.
question I have.
And we've already been maintaining that part.
Which would be helpful, so.
Part of it is Class D road, which we
Which
don't
we
get money
maintain
for,
anyway.
but we've already maintained it minimally. I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically running a grader. It's not Class B road standard, but I don't know what the breakdown is. I think it's probably, there's a little more D than B in that, getting up to it.
Well, it gives us a little that we can do. We haven't probably, at least we're not going backwards, so thank you.
And for that D part, we've got, we've got it documented for agreement of maintenance from the, to have the county do that with no problems there, so.
Yep.
Do you have that lease agreement? Do we need a motion or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it
I
right
make a
here.
motion to approve the communication use lease agreement with BLM for
Second.
Notch Peak Communications Tower.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the communications lease agreement with the BLM for Notch Peak Communications Towers. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thanks you
Thank you,
guys.
Commission.
I think it's going to be a good thing.
A whole bunch of signature spots on these ones. Did you find them all? I guess they're all marked.
Yeah, they did a good job of tagging them. Okay, 11:05 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of contract with Time Clock Plus through OMNIA, a national cooperative.
So HR and I have looked extensively at timekeeping software. We've looked at specifically 2 different products. This is one of them. Both of them were fairly similar, but this one was a little bit cheaper, and it's also with the Omnia National Cooperative Purchasing. So do you have anything else to add?
Obviously, we are looking to transition from the paper trail that is now, right, and going to the upgrade of the digital space, which will help with the efficiency, time accuracy, a lot of operational benefits for this, let alone just the labor cost that is associated with our current process now. So I think overall, operationally, it's going to be a great move for us, and will help with the optimization and accuracy of our time tracking, so.
I think there's lots of benefits. The only question I have, is this going to be snap your finger, it's going to be done, or is this going to be painful?
No, we hope
Because are we going to get down the road 4 months and, well, we can't everybody, what kind of a painful, if it's going to be painful transition will this be? I hope it's like, okay, it's good.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we both looked into closely with the other top leader.
That's a consideration.
They had a 9-month implementation. This one guarantees a 90-day.
90-day, good.
So we, and another county went with this company, San Pete County, which is similar to Millard. So we felt that, and they use the same financial software as well. So we felt that the interface was right for us.
It's good we're not going to be talking about it in 4 months. So. Also,
hope not.
what is the cost then?
So implementation costs a little bit more. So this was budgeted through ARPA. And the total cost for this year would be $33,187.50.
32 or
33.
33?
And part of that's one time, isn't it?
Correct.
Well, it's ARPA one time, and then we have a software later probably.
Yeah, and it's per employee. It's a fee. It's $48.75 per employee that's on it. And then an additional $3.75. So you're talking a
that's
little over
intense.
$50 a person per year.
Well, that should save a lot of time in your office too, shouldn't it?
Yeah, so one of the other counties said the payroll processing went from 2 days to a couple of hours. So we were really hoping for that.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be great.
Yeah.
How are our employees going to be clocking in and out with this?
So there's several options that they can do. Obviously, we can just get tablets for each of the offices, but it does have the option to clock in on a cell phone. So somebody that's out and about can clock in and clock out on a mobile device as well, but we also can have just structured hardware in each of the offices that want it to happen, and we're going to talk about that in our executive team meeting today, which of those processes makes most sense for each of the departments or offices, because obviously there's not a one-size-fits-all, right? And the nice thing about this is that it does have multiple options available that we can customize for each of the offices and each of the departments that best suits their needs. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
None?
I guess my concern would be is if we're going to have them start using their phones to do this, how many of them are going to come back and say,
Yeah, it'll just be an option that they can do on their phone. I mean, we won't mandate that, right, to be done on their phone. And so, but just a convenience option.
if they want to go from the grader out there on the West Desert and straight home, it's,
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, then they can do it on
You
their,
can either come in or you have the option at
Right.
your own will.
yeah, for your own convenience, right?
I don't want, we already get cell phone stipends, seems like every other week.
Right.
And if we're going to start requiring employees to use their phone to clock in and out,
Yeah.
then we're going to get more of those.
Yeah, it won't be a requirement.
Okay.
So just, it'll be an option, just a convenience option that the employees can use so that they don't have to go into the office if they choose to not, but we'll have the hardware set up. And the hardware is something as simple as just a tablet, right? That they can just walk into the office, clock in, clock out on the tablet and be done. So there's multiple options available to us, so.
Any other
Good.
questions?
Well, if we're done, I move that we adopt, is that a word or initials, OMNIA?
Oh, it's actually Time Clock Plus.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Do we adopt the contract, approve of the contract with Time Clock Plus?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Time Clock Plus. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the 11:10 agenda item, discussion and possible approval of OMU with Fillmore City regarding funding of the NRCS EWP project local match.
Do we want to flip these around and do 10-15 first? That might make more sense, just so we have, I mean, probably the first step is to discuss the actual contract and then go to the Fillmore City agreement.
Yes, I would agree with that. So go to 11:15,
Okay.
so we aren't going backwards.
Okay, 11:15 agenda item, further discussion and possible decision regarding bids for the Fillmore EWP project.
So can I provide a little bit of background and maybe
Sure.
some legal recommendations on this one? It's kind of blown up a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but first of all, I want to apologize to the vendors who have wanted to just know what's been happening. I hope they understand why having conversations with us was inappropriate during this, as we've tried to sort this out. But 2 weeks ago, the commission voted to provisionally award this contract to the low bidder, which was BlackRock Pro Concrete, pending full review by the engineer. During that review, we became aware that a Millard County employee was very closely connected to BlackRock Pro Concrete, and at varying times, I think that connection has been different, but at a minimum, an employee of BlackRock Pro Concrete. And we also became aware that that bid utilized information that, while possibly publicly available, was not included in the bid documents. The engineer made an effort to equalize those bids by simply striking those lines from the tabulation and then retabulating, and BlackRock was still the low bidder. Now, our procurement code doesn't strictly prohibit those kinds of contracts. However, NRCS provided us with a copy of their funding agreement, which does, and it in fact goes beyond what just about any other county does. Their funding agreement prohibits contracting with anyone, any company where a county employee would have a pecuniary interest. In other words, a financial interest in the outcome of the contract, which clearly this would, under everything we were able to discern. In addition to that, I called Johnny Miller, who is the executive director of USIP, the indemnity pool that, for lack of a better word, provides us with insurance. It's not really insurance, but he's usually kind of the go-to guy on liability questions, and we discussed this thoroughly, and he reminded me of the state statute in Title 17 that requires if an employee of any local government is going to be involved in a company that's contracting with that local government, that disclosure has to be made at the time of the bid award. And so that didn't happen. But beyond that, the bigger issues that Johnny brought up, we discussed potential liability to the county, which is what my concern is. My role is to protect the county. Johnny provided a couple of examples of situations like this where there were lawsuits resulted. He expressed tremendous concern with the possibility of risk exposure to the county, civil liability, but even more significantly, the exposure to both the county and to BlackRock's principles of investigation and possible sanctions by the different state agencies with jurisdiction over public procurements, over transparency, over those kinds of things. So his recommendation as our insurance provider was that we not move forward with this bid award. And in fact, his suggestion is that we simply strike the bids and rebid the project. And that is my legal advice to the commission today, is that we strike the provisional bid, or the provisional award that was made, that we vacate the bids and that we start the process over. Yesterday, we met with the NRCS guys. Obviously, this was something they wanted to move a little bit more quickly, but they understand the situation. They understand that it's their funding agreement that really would cause most of the problems down the road. And so they're comfortable with simply striking the bid award, vacating the bids, and rebidding the project.
Any questions or discussion?
From the very beginning, I guess 2 weeks ago, this was brought to our attention. The guys at NRCS has called me on occasion and expressed their prohibition, and then, of course, as a county, we started looking into it. My discussion, not been in all the discussions, Pat's had a lot of discussions with a really good source, not only for Pat, but a really good source for us is Johnny Miller, who's our indemnity. We deal with him on, and in my 3 or 4 years here, we found that his advice has moved us in the right direction. He's dealing with counties all the time. And this don't only protect the county, it protects those businesses, because if something went forward and they found out there was any fraudulent action and people weren't brought forward in that this would protect them and from a fraud case also. So I agree with Pat. I think Pat's spent a lot of time on this, and I think his conclusion is very clear and puts us in a direction that, I don't think we have any wiggle room. I don't think. I mean, we can go forward, and the city can go forward, and RCS is just going to say, fine, you go ahead and pay for it. We're not going to give you any money if you want to do that. If everybody says, hey, we don't want to deal with you, government, then that's an option. But they have some real prohibitions, federal prohibitions on how they administer their funds and what they do. So there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Well, it sounds like if we went any other way, it'd leave the county and BlackRock both liable at possible lawsuits.
Certainly some significant exposure, yeah.
I think there's good and bad. I mean, it's very disappointing, and sorry, NRCS had some deadlines he says they can work with, but I think back to some other projects we've looked at previously that we've discussed and never went through this. I think that we're going to have to go forward and maybe change some things, because we tended to do this other stuff previous to now. So I think Pat would agree it's probably a good education for us. We don't all like to be educated all the time, but it's probably a good education for the county to make sure in the future as we do stuff that we understand what our role is, and everybody who's bidding in that, so when we come forward, they understand, because it takes a lot of time and effort to go through this process, and then you get here and you find out, well, I recognize that as a business owner. Somebody spent a lot of time in evaluating. Devin spent a lot of time, and we hate to get to this point that all the time we spent is not useful. So I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that we go back, and we would have liked to know the rules of the race before, and that would have been helpful. You've spent a lot of time, our attorney spent a lot of time, and we would have liked to have not had to do that, but that's the situation we're in. We've had to do it, and I think we can back up a step, and as we go forward, we can kind of be able to clear some of this so we don't get down the wrong trail again.
Devin, do we got a timeline on when this has to be done?
So initially, our deadline was August 1st, which put us in a tight spot for what to do, and that's, Pat had mentioned that our typical process is not to open and award the bids in the same meeting. In our meeting yesterday that included NRCS, due to the circumstances, they're confident that we can get an extension of that time that will allow us to take the recommended solution that Pat mentioned of rebidding the project. Our requests that we'll put in hopefully today will be to extend the funding deadline until the end of the year. We'll move forward if the commission chooses to go this route. We'll move forward with a rebidding process immediately and have it opened up again so that we'll start over on the bids and have an entirely new process that'll be clean and as Pat mentioned, the lowest liability for the county.
NRCS had suggested they're gonna try to get the end of the year, so we don't have to. They were talking about October, where they thought, no, let's not. So
They were very confident that would happen.
they think that could happen.
I make a motion,
So here's what the motion would be. The motion would be to vacate the award, to strike the bids, and to put it out for a new solicitation.
Okay, so I make a motion, we vacate the award, strike the bids, and then put it out for new solicitation as soon as possible.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to vacate the previous bids and to vacate the award and put it out for new bids. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's go back to the 1110 discussion item. Possible approval of MOU with Fillmore City regarding funding of the NRCS EWP project local match.
So out of this discussion the last 2 weeks, it's kind of brought to light some concerns with the county's desire to provide its portion of that 25% match in kind. In terms of, this is what Commissioner Wright mentioned, in terms of just valuing the product, which I think NRCS has some assigned values, but it creates a lot of ambiguity and a lot of accounting hassle that we probably don't need to deal with. So I believe Commissioner Wright's preference at this point is to, and I certainly support this, is to just strike that language from the agreement with Fillmore and just make it a straight 50-50 split of the 25% match.
We have an agreement we've been working on for 2 or 3 months. In that original agreement, it didn't state we could do in kind. A month or 2 ago, I actually told Pat, work on this, I'd like it changed so we can do in kind. What that agreement says is we will contribute 50% to the match. Of course, we're the sponsors anyway, but we'd contribute 50% to the 25% match of the cost of the project, which I think is a good contribution. Just make note, the county's already contributed, the county built 2 catch basins, which cost us about $180. The city's contributed to 1/3 of that already. So the county has already contributed significantly for that. The county is going to contribute 50%. I suggest under the current standards that we do that in a cash contribution, as Pat has mentioned, the ambiguity and all the other things. It's just clean. We know what it is. We're doing a cash contribution. However, the county, if a contractor wanted to be in a position to buy riprap from the county, we would consider their bid. NCRS is already in their bid process. They've already priced what that's worth. So I would just suggest that when we conclude this, that we have the ability to do ours as a cash portion, which is 50% of the
25%.
Of the 25%, so 12.5%.
So this has been circulated probably 10 times over the last 3 months.
We've been working on this a long time.
There's a lot of versions of this out there, but what this does is goes back to the last version but one. This is just striking the language where our contribution will be in kind. So it's just a straight 50-50 split.
And I would make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a new MOU with Fillmore City regarding funding of the NRCS EWP project local match. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, next, 1120 item, discussion regarding the airport expansion at Fillmore City Airport. Michael Zern, welcome.
Hi, thank you. As you mentioned, my name is Michael Zern. I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of the commissioners and just open up the discussion and kind of also give you a little better background about me. I have been working in Millard County for about 6 years, fixing up homes and then revitalizing them and selling them or keeping them as rentals. And then in 2020, in July, my partners and I, we closed on the old mobile home park in Delta, Utah. So we are in process right now of putting a master planned development together on that piece of property. We have our first phase of construction drawings all complete. We are in process of getting multiple buyers to purchase the contracts on improved lots, which would allow us to start on our first phase of construction probably third quarter sometime. That would allow roughly 28 townhome lots to become available. That would allow 18 twin home doors to be available and 9 single-family lots.
That's in Delta, Mike?
That's in Delta, yes. We also, in our second phase, which could be in conjunction with the first phase, have 4 acres of highway commercial. And then the total build-out is minimum of 250 doors, and it could be much higher depending upon what the market dictates as far as, interest in the different types of product. The reason why I bring that up is just because I want you to know that the project in Fillmore that I have, it's not a one-off. Millard County in general is very, it's a big interest to me to provide additional housing, to provide opportunities for business. And so about, I would say 3 years ago, I created a relationship with a group out of California. They're a steel frame manufacturing company, and they manufacture for residential, industrial, and commercial buildings and infrastructure. And I have been cultivating that relationship, and about 4 months ago, I was in conversation with the CEO about their interest in maybe moving one of their manufacturing facilities to the state of Utah. And in that conversation, his frustrations came up that he was tired of, just the regulation for California and OSHA and other things associated with putting business in California and doing business in California. And so I proposed to him to consider moving the business to Utah, or a section of the business. He had me reach out to his CFO and got a better understanding of what they need, what they're looking for, type of site, and so forth. So he gave me this list, and I reached out to some contacts that I have, Molly and Lucas Stevens, that do real estate here in Millard County. They informed me that there was a place available that they had just listed next to the airport in Fillmore. Went back to the group in California, made them aware, started to understand if that would fit. And so we're still working through the process. In fact, just to kind of bring you some additional information that might be helpful. So I've been in contact with Spencer Layton, who is Business Development Analyst for the state of Utah. He has connected me with ways to receive red TIF funding from the state to entice this business to come in. That's a new type of grant or money from the state I'm not really familiar with, so I'm working with Spencer to figure out how to entice this company to come in.
Just break in, we have some, AMITA, an Economic Development Committee.
Okay.
I'm sure Commissioner Lyman is chairman of that. At some point in time, they could give you some good contacts up there. I mean, that's up there, but
sure,
you can steer you in the right direction to deal with people from the state. I'm sure Stewart and others that are on that level. could
And also
come up with
Forrest,
that.
I've been talking to.
Forrest, yes, mhm.
A Forrest.
He works for the governor in the
Okay.
state, the governor's office.
So it's something that I'm trying to navigate through to.
Excuse me for.
No, I appreciate the conversation, because that's the purpose for me, is to open up dialogue with the commissioners and find out ways that we can work together, because it would be a major benefit for this company to come in. So I found out their interest, and I ended up personally closing on the property here in Fillmore, next to the airport. It's a 20-acre parcel.
Has it been, is it part of Delta City, or is it?
Fillmore City, it's not a part of that.
It's a county.
Yeah, it's south of the airport runway.
Do you eventually want to be annexed into Fillmore City?
So we haven't really had conversations around that. I believe that's actually in Fillmore. It is in.
It's in Fillmore City.
It
You're
is
talking
in-
about city property.
Sorry, so I guess.
Okay, that's what we want. That answers it.
Okay. But, so, in kind of going through this process with the city, understanding, because, let me back up. So, this company out of California, if they were to come in, they would be looking to bring in between 200 and 300,000 square feet of manufacturing space, which would be 3 separate businesses that they bring in, and that's between 30 and 50 jobs that they would have in manufacturing. So I wanted to set up a conversation with the city, and they thought it would be important for me to get in front of the consultants with the airport, because it's so close to the airport. And then that conversation, they had brought up the question about doing airplane hangars out at the airport. And so that's something that we're looking at. In fact, let me give you, I have a drawing.
Can I ask a question? Pat, who is the airport authority? Who governs an airport in a county or city? Is it somebody above us, or who actually makes those decisions?
I'm sure at the top of the FAA.
Okay.
But it's a municipal airport that's within Fillmore City's limits.
So the city is has the first governance.
Yeah, it's completely within their city
Okay.
limits. I don't think it may stray out a little bit.
Michael, let me ask you this. I know Fillmore City recently has put a moratorium on any improvement or expansion. How does that affect you?
You mean as far as for the airport?
As far as the city, for what you want to do? Have they not put in a moratorium on building?
So as far as I'm aware, and this was recent conversations.
And I'm not real privy either, but are you aware of that?
As far as I'm aware, in conversations with Wayne, he didn't make any, he didn't provide any information to.
Okay, so you could go ahead and expand. There's not a moratorium within the city on increasing business or anything.
From my understanding, that's correct.
Okay, and that's what I need to understand.
Yeah.
I'd heard that, but I'm not privy to what they've done.
No, as far as my understanding, we're able to.
No moratorium.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you mind if I pass this out to give you some?
that'd be great.
Additional context here. So what you're looking at is just a conceptual drawing. It is roughly to scale. What you'll notice on the top of the page is the runway for the airport. And then just to the south there, on the right side, where it has the 70 by 70, 60 by 60, and 50 by 50, those are airplane hangars. So they would be for private use, potentially. And across the street from those airplane hangars, you'll notice helicopter pad. There's 3 helicopter pads. There's a tanker parking, and then also a 6,000 square foot building. In my conversations with the consultants for the airport, they had mentioned on the call that the BLM uses the airport sometimes to store an aircraft. So the conversation came up, And I reached out to the BLM if they had a need for an airplane hangar that they could store their aircraft in. And it turns out they leased that aircraft. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because a few hours later, the conversation I had with the BLM gentleman, he connected me with the Forest Service. So the Utah Forest Service had a project that they were trying to develop in Airport 2, which is in West Jordan. And they're needing about 3 acres of ground. And that site has become extremely expensive for them to develop. And so that project has been completely scrapped. So they're looking for a new site. But there are additional requirements that they need to have a new site. And one is it has to be right by an airport. Well, Fillmore meets this requirement, and this property specifically meets all of the needs that they have as far as the space. So they need 3 helicopter pads, they need 50 parking stalls, they need a 6,000 square foot single level building, and it has to be next to an airport runway. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I have been in contact with a gentleman at the Forest Service. His name is Lee Rackham. So Lee Rackham used to work with that development community to get the project for Airport 2 off the ground. So he no longer works directly with that committee, but has forwarded the information that this could be a potential site for the Forest Service. Why that, I think, is really important to the commissioners is because this would bring in 50 jobs, government jobs, from the Forest Service, so these would be good-paying jobs. Also, it would increase the need for housing, and with good-paying jobs, you'd be able to provide additional tax revenue. So the reason I want to make you aware of this is if there are any contacts that you have with the Forest Service that I could get in contact with to help me move forward the conversation, because I'm sure there are other counties in the state that are trying to vie for this spot or for this location for the Forest Service to have. That's the other purpose of getting in front of the commissioners, and that's why we mentioned the expansion of the airport. That's all that I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have in regards to this site or anything else for that matter.
What are the bigger buildings clear at the end, the 65 by 108 and 75 by 150? Is that for them to use for their mechanicking?
I'm so glad you asked. So I've spoken with a couple other developers in Millard County that specialize in warehouse storage. So companies that need a interim place to store their material and goods and services before it maybe goes to California or to further up north. Those were the recommended sizes. So this is more of a concept to businesses that would have interest in locating their storage or warehouse storage to this site.
Okay. So we need to try and come up with contacts?
I'm not suggesting that you do, but if you know a way that I can get in front of.
I think we can help you access some of the projects in the state from the governor's office and that's pretty easiest for us to do. We don't have as good a contract with Forest Service.
Okay.
And I think you know that there's a difference between cities and counties.
Sure.
I mean, the city's going to have the priority over what happens there. It sounds like a good, exciting project, and I'm sure at some point in time, the county is willing to sit down and see maybe what we offer as far as cooperative or something like that.
Yeah.
But we don't govern city properties, so
Sure.
they're going to have to make that decision of what, I guess, the due diligence and what has to happen. So.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that, and really my goal is just to make you aware.
Yes.
In your county.
I understand that, and that's good.
Yeah.
That's good that we're aware of what's going on and what's trying to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have the number for the person here in Fillmore that works with the Forest Service, but, and I can send that to you.
I
if
mean,
you want
my
me to.
goodness, I'd be happy to.
They do have an office.
That might be a
there.
place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, I'll send that to you.
That would be great. I'd appreciate that.
Do you have a business card so I can get your number?
I can, let me see, I don't know if I have a business.
Or I
I
can
usually
get-
just use my cell phone.
I'll get it from you later.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Another person I'd maybe contact is Stephen Lisenby. He works up with the governor as well.
Oh, okay.
He is a North County resident.
Steve-
He was.
Okay,
Lives in Cedar now.
I think he works with rural economic development, doesn't he?
That he's interested in the economic growth in Millard County specifically.
Great.
I know he does work for the state, but being from here he does show a little bit more interest.
Great.
In Millard County. So he's somebody I would try and contact. And if you want to use my name, you're more than welcome to use that.
Okay.
When you call him.
And I'll get his phone number
I can get it.
after.
I don't have it on me.
Okay.
But I'll get it, and after this, we'll get your number.
I think I might have it in
Great.
my phone.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks, Michael.
Great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for your
I'll give
time.
you some numbers here later.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, public input. Anybody in the public have input? Okay, other business?
A couple things.
Okay,
We received a petition to vacate a road. It's a road that a couple of years ago was the subject of quite a bit of dispute. It's part of what's called the Grable or Grable Canyon Road by Scipio. And it's not all of it, it's just a portion of it. But if what we need to do is get notices posted and sent, and then schedule it for a vacation hearing before the commission. My thought was July, is it 2nd, is that?
I think that's our, yeah.
Pat, what happens when we vacate it? What,
So this is a Class D road. It's a road that terminates right in the middle of this guy's property. He's
Okay.
asking to vacate only the portion on his property because it doesn't provide access anywhere else. But for whatever reason, it was included in
Okay.
every one of our maps all the way back to 1978.
just go back to property
As a-
line, shut the road
Yeah, so
off.
that's all he's asking. And there may be others that join it to vacate it further down too. Because like I say, there was a big dispute over this road, and I think it probably hasn't completely died down, but. But I do think that the Forest Service and maybe BLM will have issues with it, so we'll have to get notice to everybody. But what the procedure is they file the petition, and then we send notice, and then it comes before the commission, acting sort of in a quasi-judicial setting to decide whether or not to vacate the road, and if you vacate it, then it's just stricken from.
So
the
we
map.
won't see none of the opposition till we decide that, and then we'll see.
Somebody could absolutely
Then we'll
file
see
a-
it. Right now, we'd have no idea, so just go ahead and do it.
And I can brief you on it too. I'll send you a
All
written
right,
briefing on
that's
what's
fine.
happened.
I-
But you may get written opposition. Somebody may oppose the vacating of the road in writing, and that's obviously could be part of it, but. So if it's okay, I'd like to schedule that for July 2nd at 11 o'clock. Maybe probably take about, I would say a half
Can
an hour.
that be done in a commission meeting, or is that a
No, it has
separate?
to be in a commission meeting.
Okay, all right.
And the county will send out notices to.
Yeah, I'll send notices to the
Okay,
affected landowners, and we'll post them as well.
Great.
And then
Say it'd be similar to like a public meeting, so it will be scheduled during the commission.
It'll be scheduled on our schedule, okay?
Need at least a half an hour for it. They've usually generated quite a bit of interest. And then second thing, that land use appeal, we've got everything moving in the right direction now. They've actually set a scheduling conference this afternoon at 2. So I need to leave our executive meeting early, but that is now progressing, and we're hoping for an outcome within the next probably 30 days.
Okay, thank you. Any other business?
Yes, so good news, we got a refund from PEHP. So this isn't normal for an insurance company, other than, that I know of, than PEHP. It's a self-funded insurance for public employees. We're part of a risk pool, that they're only allowed to have a certain level of funding. So they've come up with a way to refund that. It's based 60% on experience, 30% on longevity, and 10% on member engagement. of our group. So the check that unanticipated revenue is $130,956.
Great.
So just wanted to bring that to your attention and maybe talk about possible suggestions on this funding. In the past, prior commissions have given a premium holiday in November, so employees didn't have to pay for the December coverage. That's an idea or suggestion. Just wanted to start those conversations with you as a board.
So
Can we pay it out?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, the thought was 15% of this refund is employee withholding, right? So,
it'd be nice to give it back to them some way.
So what have we got in the past? We thought we wouldn't get one, didn't we?
we don't really know.
I know it's every year.
It's a guess game, but, on the higher years, when it's over 100,000,
So this is comparative to other past higher years.
yeah.
Okay. Because we was thinking, that might not happen.
Yeah, I think it was like 80,000 the last time I saw one, maybe 50. I didn't bring the history with me, but, this is definitely one of the higher refunds.
So in the past, the county has given like an extra paid vacation day?
No?
No, they just
Oh.
pay
No.
the premium.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that covered the employee withholding portion from this refund.
I see, okay. Well, we'll have to think about that and
Okay,
come up with something.
great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Auditor Smith.
We found an error on the banding policy, where we had two grades fall in the same band, and so we just we'll put that on the resolution, but just for the intent, anybody that's doing it right now, that it's A through D, E through H, and so H will fall in the middle band, but we just wanted to put that out there so that everybody knew, so that there wasn't an issue with that moving forward, so.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other business? Okay, moving on. Discussion and possible appointments to various county boards.
So I do have one thing that Marky sent me with. In working to get the Deseret Oasis Special Service District Board up to date, if you remember, we appointed a new person, but we discovered that 6 of those boards members have expired. And so we currently have one person that is
on the board, huh?
On the board. And so she has reached out, and it is anticipated that they will reappoint all the expired members. And so she just wanted to bring that to your attention.
What board was that?
The Deseret Special Oasis.
Their water services.
Yeah.
They was, okay.
I've had a couple conversations with Matt Lowe, who's the president of that board, and I'll work with them. I told him that I would help him get the staggering
Get
back in
somebody.
place and get things
Yeah.
figured
Okay.
out.
Okay, thank you.
They are on 4-year terms, and so generally, if they were all to be reappointed now, then in 4 years, they would all expire at the
It'd be
same time.
nice to stagger that.
So that's why they stagger it.
I think we're asking you to just appoint them all as 4-year right now, because we're gonna have to work on their bylaws a little bit, so just appoint them and then we'll.
And then
we'll-
stagger them later. Get 'em-
We'll fix it later, yeah, after we kind of go through their stuff.
All right.
So it doesn't look great right now, but we'll get it fixed.
All right, any others, Kayla?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
So
thank
you
you.
just need to read those names and actually move to appoint them.
You want to move to K?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to.
Okay, so as president, Matt Lowe, vice president, Zane Draper, as treasurer, Jay Finlinson, and then the remaining board members are Dallas Anderson, Neil Callister, Chet Anderson, and Brandon Bishop, who was already approved last time.
I've moved that we reappoint those members, and in the future, we get some staggering.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the members of the Deseret Oasis Water Culinary Water Board?
It's just called the Deseret Oasis Special Service District.
Okay, but Deseret Oasis Special Services District. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
I have a
opposed?
question for Pat. Did I hear they're thinking about maybe doing an increase in
That's
the,
not them, that's the one of the drainage districts.
that's the drainage district, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But is the drainage district, did I hear that they're
Yes.
thinking about it because of the lawsuit, potential lawsuit? Okay.
Yeah, they've, I think, submitted the paperwork. I think that's being processed through the treasurer's office.
So just for my own, so how much time do you need? Does that go on a ballot or what? Or
No.
you have a public hearing?
Yeah, they have a public hearing.
They have it, so
We don't have anything to do with it. It just
that's
says-
okay, that's what,
They submit their request to the treasurer.
see, I didn't really understand how that worked, but they just work with you and you proceed and they do
Just
it.
the treasurer.
They
just
do it
submit
themselves. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item, possible approval of applications for settlement or deferral of delinquent property tax. None. Next, discussion by each commissioner, county attorney, elected official, and secretary.
Nope.
Okay, none there. Possible Board of Equalization, discussion and/or action. Okay, none there. Possible review of county policies and contracts.
I think we've reviewed enough today.
Okay, that's taken care of already. Next, possible closed meeting.
Not that I know of. No.
None. Okay, well, looks like we're to the end. I need a motion to,
I move adjourn.
Second.
okay, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks for coming. Okay, there will